All right, what is your background, training, and experience as an educator? We can go with background first. What is your background as an educator?
I've worked with the inner city youth of Indianapolis since I was about 15. While I was at church, I worked with them in Sunday school. I went to IUPUI. I graduated with my bachelor's in elementary ed. After I graduated, I went and worked at Sense Charter School. I worked there for about 3 years as a second grade teacher, and now I work at Phelan Leadership Academy as a first grade teacher, and I've been here for this is my third. This is going on my second year.
Okay, and what is your training? I know you already said you have your bachelor's from IUPUI. Any other training that you have as an educator?
While at Sense, I became trauma informed, so I was trained in that and trauma informed teaching, and I got certified with Orton Gillingham training.
All right, and kind of already touched on it, but again, your experience, you have your college experience, obviously your classroom experience, and then your work with your youth work with inner city kids. All right, next question. What digital apps, digital programs, and or digital media do you or would you recommend for your classroom?
I love Extra Math. That really helps them with math practice. That one, because you can see like exactly what they're working on, what they're struggling with. I personally like Book It because it is like a game, but they can still practice key skills like letters and math facts. I like Epic for reading. I've used Google Classroom, not so much in first grade, but I've used it before. I like Bottle, Prodigy, Clever for the little kids. I feel Clever is like a must for the hub for all of their things. And then to communicate with parents, I've used Talking Points and Parent Square before, so those are really nice to get a hold of parents with.
Okay. Is there, so I know you said you worked with like Google Classroom mainly with your second grade class, not your first grade class. Are there any, since you're now in first, are there any that you maybe wouldn't recommend for first grade, since you've used all of them for second grade? Is there any of them besides Google Classroom that you wouldn't use for first grade? If not, then that's fine.
Like I said, Google Classroom is just hard. It's hard for first graders since they're just learning a lot how to get on technology. I think Bottle might be kind of hard too, just to get them logged in. Pretty much like once you get them logged in the first couple times, then they're good. But it's just that I just love like getting them being able to log on, so that's kind of hard.
Okay. Next, how do you stay current with key research that supports technology's role in improved student learning outcomes?
I watch a lot of TikTok videos. I sign up for different educational emails, like different people on TikTok. They have their own little, website and stuff like that that they have. We do, PD here at school, and then we see other people come in and talk to us about different things and different aspects of technology. Like we just learned about the Magic AI, I think it's called. I can't remember what it's called exactly, but it's like an AI program for lesson plans, which is really nice.
Okay. When you learn that a digital tool or a pedagogical practice is not as effective as you originally thought, how do you adjust?
So like I said, like Google Classroom, it was just honestly too hard, too much, too in depth, I guess, for the littles, for first graders to get like to maneuver there and to figure out how to do all the steps for it. Like they need just a really easy couple step process, and Google Classroom has too many steps for them. So honestly, like I just stopped using it. Sometimes I try to make it easier by making it only a couple more clicks, but sometimes it's just easier to find something different.
Okay. Next, how do you engage in conversation about current research or findings from the learning sciences?
Like I said, we have PD here at school, so we just did a PD on, like I said, the Magic AI. We find out a lot of things through just talking with each other, with our coworkers about the different things that everybody's doing. This year, one of our teachers talked our principal into getting Go Guardian, so that was really nice, and we're using that this year. And then PD, and then our coaching cycles. If our admin or instructional coach has anything, that they know that's helpful, then they'll let us know in our coaching cycles.
All right. How do you make educational research meaningful in your context?
So we use it for a lot of things like projects. So like writing. Sometimes I'll do a book as a read aloud and I'll just display it on there. Sometimes the students will take a quiz on the computer about whatever they're researching from a book. Yeah.
Okay. We're going to move on to the digital learning section. It has two questions. First of all, what is your experience in online or blended learning environments?
So my first year of teaching was actually during COVID, so everyone was online. So everything that I did was pretty much online for the first little bit. That was my first semester. Then the next semester we went to, when I changed to Sense, we were doing the kind of blended learning. Some kids were in class, some kids were not. The kids that were in class, we just social distanced them, and we kind of bounced back and forth between those who wanted to be in school and those who wanted to be online. The second year we were there, we kind of did the same thing, except every Wednesday was virtual, completely virtual. So everyone had to be virtual on Wednesdays.
And what did you use for your live teaching whenever you were virtual? Was it Zoom, Google Classroom, or Google Meets? What did you use?
So we used Zoom. The school provided us a Zoom account, and that's what we used for that. We used interactive PowerPoints. We would project videos on Zoom. Spell your words with your bodies, do shape scavenger hunts throughout your house. Really just any kind of thing that would get them up and moving, and not just sitting in front of the screen, but also where we could still see them, I guess, on Zoom.
Okay. And that pretty much answered the second question. What strategies do you use to engage students in active learning? So that would be your PowerPoints, your scavenger hunts, and having them spell words with their bodies and stuff like that, you would say?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next section is managing technology use. And our first question in that section is, how do you manage technology use in the classroom and in the online or blended learning environment?
So I try to use fun websites for practice. This year has been a little bit harder because we've kind of been told we can't really use a lot of the fun websites, like Bobble and Prodigy as much. They have to be on a specific learning website like Extra Math. So we use try to make it fun, but sometimes it's just they gotta do their work on when they gotta do their work. Sometimes it's used as a reward. For example, when we had parties, we played a booket for our math facts and our letter practice. That's in the classroom. Online, when we were online, while we were online, we used Go Guardian to keep all the students on task, so that way we can see who's doing what when, which is really nice.
All right. And how do you engage students in setting clear ground rules and parameters for technology use?
The students know that I use Go Guardian. I've pulled it up and shown them that I can see all of their screens at the same time. Some of them I've even actually clicked them out of stuff on purpose, just so they'll be kind of confused and be like, hey. So just letting them know, I can literally see everything that you're doing. And then they'll lose their computer privileges if they're getting caught. So they'll be doing, paperwork instead of stuff on the computer. yeah, so they'll just lose it if they're not using it properly.
Okie dokie. Going into cultural competency, our first question in that section is reflecting upon your class. How does this specific group of students create a completely unique learning group and environment?
So they're all different. I don't think there's anybody that's the same. They all have different learning styles. They're all at different academic levels, and they all have different personalities. So that is each class, each grade, each everything. They're all just completely different and unique in each and every way.
How would you recognize and describe diversity as an asset?
So because everyone's different, I feel like they're all going to have different ideas. So sometimes I might draw a picture and be like, what is this? And someone will have an idea based on, what they think or what their background is. And then somebody will have a different idea. So they all have different ideas. They all have different ways of doing or saying things. And just those different ideas can create a pretty well-balanced learning environment.
All right. How do you model cultural understanding for your students?
So in my class right now, I have a student from Saudi Arabia. So as a class, we try to include him in American holidays. I did ask his grown-up for permission, and she said that was fine because she would like him to learn about American holidays. But we also try to learn about the holidays that he celebrates. So we try to incorporate all the different backgrounds of all the different students and all the different holidays and things that they celebrate with their families.
All right. What are the factors that affect your students' learning?
I think there's a lot of factors. Several of them live with their grandparents, so they all have very different home lives. The parental involvement, just is their grown-ups there, or is their grandparents raising them? That can be different for all of the kids. The school environment, so is it a calm place or kind of a crazy place? That'll affect them. I think classroom instruction also affects them, just based on how the teacher teaches. Also will affect their learning.
What are a few student strengths and student learning needs?
So some of my kids are very quick learners. Some of them are, very disciplined. Their grown-ups are really on them, at home. They pay attention and they like to learn. Some of the needs that I have in my class are confidence. I have several friends who are, can do the work and are good at it, but they just lack that confidence. They don't think that they can. I have several kids that have a speech problem. They get speech therapy, and so that's kind of impeding their phonics and reading instruction. Then I have a friend who speaks Spanish, so that's also affecting his ability to learn in English. And then some of my friends just, they're tired or whatever, or they just lack motivation for whatever reason.
All right, and our last question, how can technology enhance your students' strengths and remove barriers?
So my kids get super excited when they get answers right. So if we're playing Book It, they get trophies, or extra math or IXL or any of the things that we use, they get trophies or certificates or awards for, and that makes them super excited to take them home. So that helps them to build their confidence. And these programs also help our ELL students because I don't speak Spanish, so the programs can translate and help them with their learning in their own language. So that's really nice for them.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.